Welcome to Permission to Thrive. I'm your host, Suzi Lula. As a spiritual therapist for over 20 years, I have the honor and privilege of ushering women and mothers just like you on a journey from simply surviving to powerfully thriving. I also have the honor of raising our son, Will, who is now a young adult, with my longtime partner, Jamie, so I'm right there on the journey with you. Consider this your personal sanctuary, your space to meet your heart, embrace your messy, and come home to your most authentic, extraordinary self. My hope is that you leave resourced and inspired because you are here to shine. Welcome to Permission to Thrive. So welcome everyone to this week's episode of Permission to Thrive. I'm so happy to be with you all, and I have a very special guest that I can't wait to introduce to all of you. Today's episode is entitled Finally Free to Be Me, and you will find out why Heather Beaton, who is my very special guest today, had that title come to her for all of you. So Heather Beaton. Heather is not only one of my amazing certified soul psychology coaches, but you, Heather, are an executive leadership coach. You are the founder of Illuminate, Unleash Your Inner Leadership Brilliance. Who does not like that title? Illuminate. I love that so much. You have had so many different trainings and certifications, all of which will be in the show notes for all of you to go back and pour through. But some of the ones that I just wanted to highlight that I think are relevant to our conversation today, maybe not, but this one, you have had 18 years as a professional figure skating coach. You have competed at the national level in Canada. You are a member of the Canadian Government Ministry Executive Team. You've had tremendous formal education in university, but also you've done so many interesting certifications, from being a certified professional coach to being a certified conflict resolution coach. I mean, who does not need that right now? You are a certified trauma-informed practitioner. And you're in the middle of an emotional intelligence profiler. I want to hear more about that. So you're really a seeker, you're a student. And I always feel like, in my experience, the best students make the most masterful teachers. The best students make the most effective leaders. So welcome to the pod. I'm so happy to have you.
Well, I'm just so thrilled to be here with you, Suzi. I've thought about this for a long time and am so honored to be able to spend some time with you today.
Yeah, I love my time with you, and I'm so happy to be able to be introducing you. I know all of you listening are going to just totally fall in love with Heather, as I have. So Heather, you are an executive leadership coach, but in my mind, for anyone listening, we're all leaders in our own world, whether you're a mom and you're leading and at the center and the heart of your own family, whether you yourself are a coach watching this recording, listening to this episode, we're all interested in becoming the master of ourselves. So this is what you have developed in your own program, Illuminate, Unleash Your Inner Leader, your inner leadership brilliance. So for everyone listening, just sit back, relax, and receive all that is here for you to assist you to become the master, to become the leader in whatever area of life you find yourself in the midst of. So when Heather and I were talking about doing this episode, we came up with two intentions for this episode. So I want to read both of them to you all, and then we'll jump into the first one and the second. So, our intention for everyone today, we want you all to walk away with number one, a heightened awareness that you have everything that you need within you to create a whole life living from the inside out. And number two, that self worth and self trust are the foundation upon which the truth of you is built.
Mhm.
Those two particular intentions are very personal to you, Heather, both in your personal life, but also in your professional life. So if I were to go back to the first one, that we want everyone to walk away with a heightened awareness that we have everything that we need within us to create a whole life living from the inside out. Why don't you just jump in and share your experience with that and why that's so important and meaningful to you?
Great. Thank you so much. It is so key to my journey because my journey from the time I was a little girl in the sports world was conditioned by the outside
Mm,
in. And so I spent much of my life, like many people in the universe today, talk about not feeling like they're enough. They're always searching for something outside of themselves to fix themselves, to feel better about themselves. And the very first time I ever went to a counselor, I was 27 years old. And I remember sitting in a room when I was 26 and thinking, I don't know who I am. And I'm 26 years old. And I remember that just like it was yesterday.
mm,
And I'm a lot older than that today.
mm,
But just really always searching outside of myself. And of course, what I know today, 100%, and I believe this entirely, is that I do have everything I need
mm,
within me. And that the work that I've done with you has been so instrumental in recognizing that my sense of value, my sense of worthiness was always attached to something outside of myself. We've all heard, like, when I finish university, I'll be this and I'll have this title and then I'm okay. And it's like whatever I reached, it was never the fix.
mm,
And, I am a lifelong learner, but even that stems back to not feeling like I was smart enough or wise enough or good enough in many ways. And yet it has nothing to do with what I have accomplished in life because those things didn't make me feel okay within. And I know I've shared this with you before, but recognizing the connection with self worth in the last 2 years has been instrumental for me to stand in who I am, to love who I am as I am, and recognize that I am worthy just because I breathe.
mm,
I thought what defined me was my weight, how well I interacted with other people or didn't, my education. And I've shared with you and shared with anybody nowadays that I never completed high school. And that was a big hang up for me as somebody who had a sense of a lack of value around that. And I often tell the story because it was my deep, dark secret for many years. Like I didn't want people to know because, of course, I had my own judgment around it. So I assumed others would judge me. And
mm,
the journey has been doesn't matter how much I do, how much I attain, how many medals I had, how many trophies I had. It didn't matter. I was always searching for what I didn't know what I was searching for, but what I was searching for was me.
yes.
And I hearken back to that day when I was 26 thinking, nobody knows me because I don't know me.
Oh
And
my
that's the
goodness.
gift of this work. All the work I've done, everything I've done has contributed to who I be today. But even what you talked about in leadership, I believe that is so true that we are all leaders, no matter what we do. And of course, having spent 18 years in the corporate world, what I recognize when we talk about leadership is that we attribute it to a position, and a position has authority and then you are a leader, which is totally untrue. And that's the work I do with people in that realm, is to help them see that it isn't the title and it isn't how many people you lead. It is, who are you being? That's what impacts people. It's not the title, right? Like I always say, you could have the exact same education as me. We could have everything identical, and one person will be seen as a real leader and the other won't. And what is the difference? It is that person is showing up in a way that people connect to as a human. It's
Yes.
not about the position.
Yes.
And that is the work that I do with people in my leadership program, is help them see the gift they are. It is within them. It has nothing to do with the external. I remember saying to you once, the work that I do is that shines my heart or turns a light internal, is to see people actually grow into all that they are capable of being. And the avenue or the mechanism that I use is coaching.
Yes.
But my purpose is to help people see the light they are.
Yes. And that's so important. It's why I wanted to have this conversation because I think everyone listening from our first intention, that's what most of us have in common is that from the time we're young, we're raised to think that our value comes from the external, our value comes from the outside in. What our grades are, like you were saying,
Mhm.
in the sports world, a figure skater competitively for years and years and years. I was competitive on the piano. It was all
Mhm.
external, what place you got. And then that translates into adulthood where I might be working with a client and they have all the success that one would think, all of
Yes.
those external accolades. They have an Emmy on their shelf or a Grammy on their shelf. And yet I'm talking to them and they feel like they're insecure and maybe they're never going to work again, or they're judging themselves in the role that they played, and or feeling like they are not enough, or a mom who is measuring herself by her child's behavior just
Right.
because that's the way we've each and all been indoctrinated, that
Yes.
external is what is supposedly going to provide us that magic potion that we're all looking for.
Yes.
So I'm so interested in what is it, and I'm sure there are many, many things, but for individuals who are listening and maybe they're really relating to, wow, I can see that I've been externally indoctrinated, that my child's behavior is what is supposedly reflecting whether I'm a good mom or not, or like you're saying, your role in at your job and maybe the reviews that you're getting or not getting back. What tell me about any part of what has helped you move the needle within yourself to recognize, oh, I see, I have been seeking that external validation. That's how I was indoctrinated. But now I am more inwardly oriented. Do you have anything that you, or a few things that you attribute your journey to that have been helpful?
Many things. When I was in the sports world, I mean, I was young, and so you don't know what you don't know. And I was very conditioned that nothing was good enough. Like in the sports world, right? You could always be better. You were always trying to perfect, whether it was a move, what didn't matter what it was. And so I'll just share this person that I worked with for many years as a professional figure skating coach. She said to me, and I have no recollection of this, but she said to me, I remember we used to sit up in the bird cage, and which was a place where the parents sat and watched. And she said, we would watch you. She was a junior and I was a senior at the time. And she said, we would watch you go around and crash, and then you'd get up and you'd go around and you'd do it again and you do it again. And I laughed, and she said it was like you never gave up. And that was very much accurate statement, but I really never thought about it. You just really conditioned to improve, improve, improve. And then it just translated into everything in my life. Like everything I did needed to be better. And it wouldn't matter if you shared with me that I did a really good job. I would not believe you because I didn't believe that about myself. And so I see that over and over and over in the corporate world, right?
Mm,
It's like they're looking for that external approval that they're good enough.
mm,
And if they could lean into themselves, they would recognize that self-validation is really the key to success. And I mentioned to you the other day, like, many people come to me and the number one thing they want is to have more confidence. And I believe that what holds them back is their sense of worthiness, not confidence. I believe confidence is a result. You do something, you learn how to do it, you get better at it, you become proficient at it, you're confident in it. But as soon as you take up something else, you're going to have that same sense of doubt because you haven't built, your skills or knowledge around what it is you're learning. It doesn't matter if you're going to be a deputy minister, a CEO, it just doesn't matter. Everybody I know and everybody I work with start there in something new, doubt, but they can achieve those external accomplishments. It doesn't necessarily change anything internally because to me, that's the difference between worthiness and confidence. Confidence is something you earn through the work that you do, you become proficient at it. Worthiness, I could be really proficient at lots of things and still not really think of myself as a worthy person on the planet. Like,
mm.
always not good enough. So
I want to
I
stop and break this
get,
down, like slow this down, because I think what you're just saying is so important. And I'm hoping everyone listening is relating as much as I am. You're really, I don't know that I've ever really heard it broken down in that way. What I think I'm hearing you say is that people are looking for self confidence. And what you have learned in working with so many individuals is that self confidence has to do with proficiency, and proficiency has to do with doing. And we
yes,
learn and become proficient at something.
yes,
Self worth, on the other hand, has to do with the way that we identify and think about who we are, not our proficiency, who
do it.
we are.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think that this is such an important key to highlight because it, again, as you're referencing about your clients, same with my clients, I can see that, my gosh, this person has 2.5 million followers and 3 Academy Awards. And so clearly they are proficient.
hmm,
It does not necessarily translate to mean that they feel a sense of worth.
no,
And I think this is why in our culture, we strive for all these external things we're taught that are going to check the boxes, and we still come up empty because
yeah,
at the heart of us, at the core of us, at the soul of us, we come here wanting to embody that I am worthy because, and you said it earlier today, you said worthy because you're breathing,
hmm,
worthy because you are, worthy because you are a being, that you are alive. What a gift when you think that we can give others, that we could have received, that you are worthy. And yes, you will become proficient and you will learn certain things. Your worth, though, comes from who you are.
yes, yes. And there's so much freedom in in evolving to that place of that knowing and that real connection with self. And I was totally disconnected from myself for most of my life, which is really sad when I think about it. And it is what it is. And I believe that my journey helps me help others, which most of us too believe when we do this kind of work. But I understand when they say it's confidence. I understand where that's coming from. That's not what I see often. They are very competent, capable senior leaders already.
Yeah.
What's missing is that inner real connection with self and belief in no matter what I do, no matter what I achieve, no matter what I fail at, that does not affect my sense of worthiness unless I allow it to.
Yeah.
And I can. Like you say, it can wobble,
Yes.
but at the core, it is solid today. And it was something I never had any awareness of, which is mind-boggling to me
Well,
because I was always doing.
yes, and I particularly love what you're saying because also earlier you said when you were in therapy around 27, you said you had the realization, oh, no one else really knows me because I don't really know me.
Hmm.
And just now you're saying that when we come into a sense of, yes, we can earn proficiency, master proficiency, when we come into the inner knowing that I am worthy because I am alive, because I am a being, you said what comes with that is a sense of freedom.
Hmm.
And I think that can't be underestimated or understated because that's saying, I'm free now. I know who I am.
Yes.
And then you're saying, this is the very thing that motivates you or impels you to assist others. And I love this journey. And so, for those of you listening, perhaps you're a mom. I know for me, when I was a young mom, I too was, and when you were saying about 27, I was disconnected from myself also. I think many of us in our 20s
Yeah.
disconnected. But I share that with you. I believe it's so powerful to have been on a journey from
Hmm.
feeling disconnected from ourselves to finding that inner connection with ourselves. That journey, it isn't that we weren't connected with ourselves. I think
No.
most teenagers, young adults, who the heck are we? That journey is part of why we're here. And so when one goes from not feeling connected to who I am to connecting to who I am, then I can assist a client. I can assist my son. I see my son as a young adult and I see he's on this journey of, well, who am I? Who am I in relationship to other individuals? Who am I within myself? Who am
Right.
I in relationship to culture? And the journey that I have taken, and I'm able to say to him, I get it.
Totally.
I so get it. When you mentioned when you were 27, no one could know you because you didn't know yourself. I always think at that time in my life, I was kind of lost, is the
Mm.
word that
Yes.
you said disconnected. I relate to that word, lost. And I feel like, okay, I was lost. I found myself. So then
Totally.
when I'm speaking to a client or I'm speaking to my own son, I
Yes.
say, yeah, that journey is the journey of a lifetime.
It truly is. And one thing that it's changed the most in my life is I notice how I'm not defensive the way I was because I am centered in myself and I am connected to the fact that I am a decent, loving, caring human being who wants to serve people to find their inner soul or spirit and be connected to the greatness that they are. And when I look back on my past, and I know you know this, my mother was a terrible alcoholic. And so it was a very chaotic environment that we lived in when I was growing up. And I learned very early on, you don't trust people, don't share, keep everything secret. What goes on here stays here. So of course, you go out into the world and you have all these beliefs that actually block you from being who you are because you're conditioned to have this facade about what life is. And and then it's like I was lost, right? But what I found was that as this journey has evolved over the last 3 years, really since I met you and have done the work that I've done over the past 3 years mostly, is that I am so much less defensive
Mm.
because it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you say. Even if you're mad at me, I can discern for myself, like, is the root me? Is it us? Or is it the universe? I'm able to discern that for myself. Whereas before, I would immediately be on defense. If you criticize me or I thought that I'd done something wrong, which was all my own stuff, but it's like I really have such a sense of okayness, if that word exists, but like, oh, I'm okay. Like, it's okay if you don't agree. It's okay if you don't like what I'm doing. It's okay if you are mad at me. And I know when I met you, I was like a far place from there. And
Wow.
it's real today. Like, that's the thing, it's real.
Wow. I love this so much. You said earlier something to the effect of, I felt often judged from the outside in because I was already judging myself.
Self,
You had
yes,
said that earlier.
absolutely.
And now you cut to saying, I used to be defensive, of course, because when feedback comes or interactions come, if we already are judging ourselves, then we must get defensive.
Yes,
So to hear you say that you can witness your own trajectory from going from being someone who would have been and has been in the past defensive, putting up your wall, putting up your armor, to
totally.
someone who says, I know who I am, so the need to defend has dropped. That's really very profound because you think of someone who's listening who's a mom and their child just needs say something like all kids say, you're the worst mom. You know,
Totally.
you won't buy me such and such. You're the worst mom. Who do you think you are? Our kids can have so much power over us. Or like
Hmm.
I referenced earlier, you're at your job and you get a review. It's just feedback. It's someone else's opinion.
Yes,
And it can take us down. What
yes,
someone else thinks of us can take us down because we're already judging ourselves. So you're showing how your own inner needle is changing. I can remember, I've shared this before, probably on the pod, but I can remember one time when I was in the middle of that journey and Jamie and I were having an argument. We were in our kitchen. And I remember I was standing in front of our dishwasher. We were having an argument while loading the dishwasher. So we're arguing. He's washing, I'm loading. He's handing them to me, I'm loading. And I was in the middle of softening. And so I was simultaneously defending myself because I knew I was right,
yeah,
and simultaneously feeling this softness, this smiling down upon me, going, honey, just relax, just start laughing. It's funny. It's funny. You're arguing about something I don't even remember, of course.
of course.
But I did have that feeling, just laugh, just be light. There's nothing to defend. But at that time and in that day, I was not able, I was like, oh no, I'm holding my ground. And
Yeah,
I remember putting that next plate into the dishwasher, and then finally something snapped and I started laughing. And Jamie's much more relaxed than me, so he started laughing. But there is that tightrope.
hmm,
I I know if I let go of what I perpetuate onto
yes,
myself, I know that I will live lighter. I will, you can say something and it won't take me down. I'm
right.
unbotherable. I'm not at your mercy because I know who I am. And I
Yes.
speak highly of myself, which goes back to self-worth. You,
Yeah, and yeah, and self-regard. I mean, that's so important, especially I notice, well, I was going to say especially with women, but that's not necessarily true. But how you speak about yourself is so critically important. And I really recognize that today. And I think that is something that comes up a lot in the work that I do. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing leadership work or other work with other people around their business, which is outside of the realm of bulk of my business. But anyway, the point being that most of us struggle with that, wanting to be right, needing to defend ourselves. And there is no inner knowing that I'm okay. I don't need all of this to be okay. And I don't need to be right. And oftentimes clients will say to me, yeah, you're right. And I say to them, I don't need to be right. And it's conscious because I should speak for myself. I did 3 years training around leadership and really struggled at the time with the coach I was working with around almost being frozen, Susie, around my ability to answer some questions because I was stuck in, is it the right answer? And really
Mm.
became so aware of that over the course of one of the years I was working with one of the coaches there, and didn't recognize that, but it was paralyzing for me in many, many ways. And like that has really shifted totally. I don't need to be right. Like, according to you, your right doesn't need to be my right, and vice versa.
Yeah, brilliant. I could not agree more. I think that's what holds back many, many, many coaches because we think that we need to have the answer.
Yes.
We need to have the right answer, the correct answer, the
Hmm.
answer that will provide something for someone else. When honestly,
Right.
what I think we're both
Comes back to,
exactly, it comes back to each one of us has within us our own inner wisdom, our own
yes.
answer, our own inner guidance, our own inner navigation system, our own inner roadmap. But coming full circle to where we began today, we're so indoctrinated to believe that the answers come externally and it has to do with the external world to the detriment of being taught to trust our own intuition, to trust our own
Hmm.
value system, to be connected inwardly to a
Yes.
stronger degree than we are outwardly. And so everything that you're referencing is pointing back to this journey of the first intention, which is to know that every one of us has exactly what we need inside of us. We've just been directed externally.
Externally.
But
Hmm.
if we redirect internally,
Yes.
at first it can be very disconcerting because when I work with clients and I'm redirecting them, when you redirect yourself from external to internal, when you've lived void of your
Yes.
own connection to your internal wisdom, you often do find a void and who
Yes.
the heck am I? And again,
Hmm.
that journey, it's so important. And I think that coming back to oh, let me take time to truly hear who am I? What am I? What is important to me? What is important to me that trumps how my child is behaving? That is
Right.
more important than if I have the right answer to give them in the moment. But as I redirect to myself, I can also redirect the other person and say, oh my gosh, what do you think? I'm more
Yes.
interested in what you think. Yes, I
Yeah.
can tell you five things, but the real interest now comes from what in the world do you think about yourself? What direction do you think you can go? Yes, I can provide some feedback, some reflection, some mirroring, but I'm much more interested in what are the different solutions? What are the different possibilities? What is the wisdom? What is the prompting of your soul, of your heart, of your wisdom? That to
Hmm.
me becomes the antidote, the soul medicine to the way that we're raised in culture to look externally. Well, I've become much more interested to hear. I could tell Will so many different things about
Yeah.
what he could, should do as a young adult, but it doesn't really, it doesn't even interest me anymore. I am truly more interested in how
Yes.
is he navigating? You know,
Yes. Yeah, totally. And two things came up to me. I don't know if I remember the second one, but the first one was, and I often say this to myself when I am in a moment of discontent or dis-ease within, I will say to myself, who do you want to be, Heather? And sit with that. And I find that really centers me because I know who I want to be. I want to be a kind, caring, loving soul on this planet.
mm,
And when I'm reactive, I can be blunt, unkind, and less spiritual than I want to be. And I have the power to recognize that within myself, to not react in a way that I show up as I don't want to be, because who I am is light. Who I am is love. Who I am is courage. Yes, I can be unkind. I can be all the opposite of those things, but that is not who I am at the core.
Ah,
Those are extremes of those qualities. I do a lot of essence work with my people, and I so believe in it because we do an exercise, and I learned this in training, but we do an exercise where I send them out to speak to 10 people, and they have one question that they have to ask. And it's like, what shows up when I do? What qualities do I bring into a room? And it's usually very uncomfortable for my people to do this because they have to speak to the person in person, and they are just to ask the question, nothing else, and write down everything they say. And what comes from this is all the data they collect. I mine the data, and what comes from this is a new awareness for them of how others see them in such a positive light, because it's an energy that we're talking about. It's not, what are you doing? This exercise is not about how good are you at your work. It's about who are you? Who are you being in the presence of others? And it's really powerful. And then there's other work that I do with them around that. But what's really powerful is for them to recognize the disconnect between how they're seeing themselves, perceiving themselves, and how others who they value and respect are witnessing and experiencing them.
mm,
And it's really powerful, especially for those that are very self-critical.
yeah, it's very powerful to
Hmm.
to receive feedback from
Yes,
others around your qualities, like you're saying, rather than your abilities,
yes,
your qualities, and then to allow yourself to really receive what individuals are seeing in the
yeah,
qualities that you are. And you were saying earlier, I love how you work with yourself in a moment. If you are feeling yourself getting reactive and you ask yourself, how do I want to be, Heather? How do I want to be? I love both of these very much. When you ask yourself that question, how do I want to be? You move yourself into a
hmm,
quantum field, right?
yes,
You're on a linear journey of life. Someone says something, you feel yourself getting reactive. Could be your child, could be your partner, could be your boss, could be a coworker.
yeah, could be
You know,
anyone.
you feel yourself getting reactive, and that's linear. This is happening
Yeah,
in linear time. And then you stop and you say, who do I want to be? Your being is outside of linear time. I love
yes,
quantum physics because of this. It's outside of the what's happening linearly. Who you are is eternal. So when you ask yourself, how do I want to be? It allows you to transport yourself into really inviting the higher version of yourself into
yeah,
this moment,
yes,
inviting something. How do I want to be that kind, centered, grounded, wise, or even just quiet?
hmm,
Maybe in that moment, the best thing is, I could really use a minute or I could use 10 minutes. Let me get back to you on this.
hmm.
Whatever it is, it invites the next version of yourself, the higher version of yourself into this moment. And then it allows you to act and communicate from the higher
From that
version
place,
of yourself.
yeah.
I think that's a really great takeaway for everyone. And on that note of takeaways, I'm just want to give you a moment of reflecting upon this conversation as a whole and just ask you, are there any other takeaways that you want to offer anyone? Anything that feels important that you don't want to leave this time without offering that? Maybe there's nothing, but if there is, certainly I want to give it the space.
I don't know that there's anything in particular other than hoping that people get a sense of trusting that if they look within and if they listen to what comes up, that they actually can connect with a deep inner knowing that they do know where to go or they do know what to do. as opposed to that inner doubt,
Mm,
like constantly, even not knowing is a place to be, as opposed to thinking I have to figure it out today. It could be that. But to know that if you lean into yourself, not from a place of selfishness, but from a place of self trust,
mm,
and listen to what comes up, you will know
mm,
what's next. You will know what is true for you as opposed to all the external noise.
mm.
It's such a busy, busy world, and we're inundated. And I'm an avid learner, I'm always learning. But the key to my being with me today is to love me and trust me and rely on that inner knowing as
Mm.
opposed to what the external world tells me I should think or believe.
Wow, that's is so remarkable what you're saying because it really comes full circle to the title. Finally free,
Yeah.
be me is what I'm hearing you say. You are finally free to rely upon your inner self. You're finally free to be Heather more than what the external was telling you you're supposed to
Yes.
be.
I,
And
I
you're
believe that.
offering, yes, and you're offering to everyone listening that journey of the freedom that comes when you feel more weighted on a scale, weighted towards your internal knowing rather than the external voices.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to say about that title? Finally Free to Be Me, which I love. Title of your next book called
Yes,
Fit
yes.
In.
It's funny because that did come up for me today. And years ago, seriously, it's years ago, that was the title of my book. I have it written on in a folder somewhere, which never got written because it wasn't supposed to, because I wasn't there
Mhm.
where I am today. And of course, every day is a new version of oneself. And I think the freedom and the power that I have today is that I get to create that,
Mm,
whatever that version is. And it is always unraveling the onion, as they say. But it's exciting to be in a place where I, like I am really okay. I can't express that enough.
yeah. And to everyone listening, the other part that I want to echo what you're saying, Heather, is that this is a journey, it's a process. And
Hmm.
it isn't meant always for us to be doing by ourselves in a room alone. So if this conversation is speaking to you and you feel a prompting to want to become more free in your own self and you want to work with someone, you look in the show notes and you find out, you reach out to Heather because we're often meant to have a mentor, to have someone hold a space, to have someone reflect back to us, to have someone to give us the pertinent assignments and practices, like you were saying, that you have people that you work with do. These are all important parts of our journey. We're not meant to do it alone.
No,
This episode, I hope, is rich for everyone. Our two intentions that we set, we hope that you just leave alive, lit up, on fire, wanting to dive in deeper. And if you feel you want to work with someone, obviously you know where to find me, but Heather, tell them where to find you. Obviously, everything will be in the show notes as well. But what do you have going on where that might be calling to people?
well, I'm in Canada for starters. I live on the West Coast and beautiful Vancouver Island, and have been here for many, many years. I don't have a website, and that's intentional. And anybody who wants to find me can find me on LinkedIn. And of course, you will have my email in the notes, and anybody is welcome to email me should they want to, and have a conversation if that would be something that they're interested in. But mostly, I just want to say how grateful I am to have the opportunity to spend this time with you, because I know you and I love you, and you have changed my life by being part of it. And I really am honored to have this opportunity to spend time with you. But more than anything, to know that years ago I would have said Susie's up here and Heather's here. And I feel like we are on the same plane as humans. And that's a big shift for me. So I want to thank you for all that you've given me because you have been instrumental in where I am today.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather. I mean, that is literally music to my ears, literally, because I have done the same thing. Oh, so and so is here, and I'm lowly down here, you know?
Totally.
So to hear someone, because I can so relate to what you're saying, whether it's another mom or another coach, then I'm in the lowly position and they're in the
Yeah.
pedestal position. So that just means so much to me that, and we walk hand in hand. It's why I wanted to have you on. You'll come back many, many more times, many more conversations, and so much love to everyone. We hope that this has fulfilled our intentions and that you just walk away feeling, yeah, I'm equal to every dang person out there.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Much love, everyone. Give yourself permission to thrive this week. Well, I really hope that you all have as many takeaways from this incredible conversation with Heather as I do. And just to review our two main intentions. Number one, that you recognize that you leave with a heightened awareness that we have everything that we need within ourselves to create a whole life, that we are living from the inside out rather than from the outside in. And number two, that self-worth and self-trust are the foundation upon which the truth of you is built. So here's to your journey of self-worth and self-trust, anchored, grounded, centered in your own inner wisdom, in your own inner intuition, in your own inner navigational system, and in your own inner power. So much love, everyone. See you next week. Give yourselves permission to thrive. Until then, much love. Thank you so much for listening. If there was something in this conversation that spoke to you, we'd so appreciate it if you would take the time to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with women and mothers you know, because you are here to thrive. See you next time.